I've never done an interview with my shaved head.
Remember, we just stick to the plan.
I received a script from Ari Aster and Lars Knudsen, who were developing this film for a while. I read it, and it's one of the few times that I actually read something that I haven't been involved from early stages, and I was immediately very enthusiastic about it and loved it.
That's the way they planned it, to make us the same as the bees.
The workers gather pollen for the queen.
Good morning, Corey. It's a very dark story in Yorgos's world, very human, very funny, and very twisted. We are running a business here, so let your conscience guide you kind of thing. Yeah?
Just feels like a really strange but honest portrait of the times we're living in and how tragic and absurd it can seem.
We are not steering the ship, Don.
Oh, good job.
They are.
It's kind of darkly comedic in some ways, with some like particularly over-the-top moments.
I mean, most of it's set in a basement, yet there is still lots of tension.
I can assure you that there is no possible scenario where you benefit from this incident.
This film's much more intimate, and there's a lot more close-up photography interspersed with dynamic camera movement.
Even if it was human, and it's not, it's evil. Pure corporate evil.
It is tonally something slightly different to what I've been doing.
I really do think if done correctly and safely, this could be a product that could help someone like your mom.
I sent the script to Emma immediately after I read it, because I got very excited and I wanted to know what she thought of it. She also loved it, so it was like a common decision. Should we do this? Should this be our next film? Because he's a producer on it as well, and I trust her opinion and instincts very much.
Every project I've gotten to do with him, I've been so drawn to what he's drawn to. And then knowing that we have this great working relationship. I loved the script. Will Tracy is such a brilliant writer, and it was just so cool to see what he did with it. And I think the ending is such a crazy surprise.
It's going to try and dominate us, but we're not going to let it, are we?
It encapsulates so much, and the tone of it is so wild and kind of varying, and it's so funny and so tragic. The way into these very big conversations is so left field and unexpected and interesting.
And now it's up to you and me to stop them.
When I read the script, I was like, it's cool I'm in it, but could I just fast forward and watch it right now?
The original Korean film, it's a fantastic film, and I think the idea was very much to kind of take the DNA of what's going on in that story and contemporize it.
I watched the original film the first time after I read the script. I just wanted to see if it actually was different enough to warrant a remake, and it's a great film in its own right, but the script that I had read already, the film that was on the page and the film that I envisioned was quite different to what the original film was, and that gave me permission to say, yes, there is a reason to do this and bringing it into the contemporary world.
How can you tell she's an alien?
Well, the signs are obvious.
The dialogue is so much fun. There's a ton of really intense monologues throughout for these characters, and I always find that really challenging.
We will not tolerate the idea of you or your family bearing the financial burden of this.
Taking this incredible script that at the core of it is unlike anything Yorgos has done, but then bringing in his taste and sensibility and style with this script, I think, makes something really unique.
The first thing I did when I read the script, I wanted to change the title. I did a lot of research about the environment and bees and these bioengineering companies until I came across an ancient Greek word, Bugonia, which means the birth of a swarm of bees from the dead carcass of an ox.
So let's start from looking into the hive.
I mean, Yorgos is a great comedy director, that's not a secret, but also it's much more layered and textured, and it goes to kind of amazing places that you don't expect it to go, and that's Yorgos's happy place.
It's always intriguing to work with something which keeps the audience in a state of trying to figure out what's funny, what's serious, what's horrifying, how they overlap, and how they feel about it themselves.
The first one was good in terms of her movement.
The themes of the film are very in his wheelhouse, but still totally different. Like, it made sense to the kinds of stories that he wants to tell. It has that sort of microcosmic quality of insanity and commentary in the midst of a really small environment.
We're going to give you the night to give your statement
My statement?
that you will give to your emperor to grant us passage to your ship and negotiate your species withdrawal from planet Earth.
So it challenges the viewer to see that maybe sometimes like we have the wrong idea about certain things that we're very certain about.
3, 2, 1.
This sort of weird, wonderful troupe of collaborators that he's assembled is proven to be so incredible.
All right, let's try it again.
Let's try it again. It's looking really good.
There's this sort of a community of us that have come together to work on Yorgos' films, and that's both behind the camera, a lot of the heads of department, and then there's the cast in front of the camera.
It just feels like a theater company where you're like, okay, and then next up we're doing Anything Goes or whatever it is. Like, okay, that's our season. It's been really, really wonderful and something I'll forever be grateful for. We're on the same page. 9 years. 5 films. Always on the same page.
I let Emma do her thing mostly because she was excited about this character and it was different to what she's done before. I think it's a very difficult role for her, for anyone, because not only physically she goes through a lot, but walking that line between what is true and what is false and what is her real character.
I'll hold it more out like that.
Yeah.
She's so committed and so game to play around and explore, and she's just so talented on so many different fronts.
His hair is still attached. It can track us remotely, so we want to go as quick as we can.
Okay. Emma bravely agreed to have her head shaved for this role, which is extraordinary.
Yorgos knew he wanted her to have beautiful hair in the beginning. That was really important to him. And she was gonna shave her head.
Do it harder, you won't cut her.
Okay.
When I knew we were gonna do this, I'd say maybe like a year ago, I said to Yorgos, we're gonna have to shave your head too, so that we're in solidarity. And he was like, okay. They shaved his head. It was exciting, but it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be to shave his head. It was cool, but it felt more dramatic, my shave. I don't mean to brag, but my hair was pretty long, and his was not.
For the whole project, every 3 days, we're just shaving her head, and it's absolutely lovely, and she loves it, and she looks so wonderful without hair.
Why have you shaved off my hair?
To prevent you from contacting your ship.
Something interesting about a character that everyone at first glance would write off as being a delusional madman, and to find the kind of wisdom in a character like that, I think is really interesting.
Why are we doing this?
Antihistamine reacts to the neurotransmitters in its nervous system and weakens it.
I've said it before, Jesse is one of the greatest actors of his generation. It's not the kind of actor that you can actually see what he's thinking about the character as an actor, which is a very special kind of quality to have.
Listen to me.
I'm listening.
Jesse was the perfect person to play Teddy, and every day of filming, I've been consistently just blown away by what he's doing.
Yeah, it's all right. There were takes where I'm like, he's so good, I'm like, I forget I'm in a movie. I'm like, damn, this guy's good. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, I have a line.
You're not gonna get away with this shit in the end, okay? I promise you that.
He just brings a complexity that is hard to just put on the page of a script.
It is not in control anymore. We are.
He just has this great combination of warmth, edginess, and slightly craziness, so that you're never quite sure where you are with him. And I think the reveal at the end of the film works because of his performance. He's sucked us in. We believe he's a certain type of person.
See what their plan is, okay? They sell me the sickness, then they sell me the cure. I love that Yorgos brings people back often, and I loved working with him on Killing of a Sacred Deer. How it went down is Yorgos sent me an email saying, I'd love you to come do a small role. And I wrote back, I don't even need to read it. The answer's yes. I'll do it for you. You know, if it helps.
I know you're actually smart and brave, and no one else sees it but me.
For Dawn, I knew from the beginning that I didn't want to go with a professional actor. I always try to include non-professional actors because there's something very special that happens in the interaction between professional actors. Putting them with a non-professional actor that doesn't have that background, doesn't have the knowledge and the experience, creates this very particular energy. You know, the character, even on the page, felt that he was probably neurodivergent. And that led me to think that it would be disingenuous to just cast an actor to try and pretend that.
I just heard about a casting call for young autistic people, and I saw the general description for the sort of character and all, and I just kind of thought, okay, I'll try doing this.
But you're not sure what to do, and they go over there.
Their casting director asked everybody these general questions, like, what do you think about alien life? Or, you know, what do you do on a daily basis? That kind of thing. And Aidan's tape immediately was just like, he's brilliant.
The decision to cast Aidan as Don, I feel like, is the ace in the hole to the whole production.
Why are you laughing?
Sorry, you just look a little funny doing that, to be honest.
Okay, well, now you do it.
Okay.
We got to meet a few times before he was cast.
Yeah, I think I look funny too.
Okay.
It's been one of my favorite relationship dynamics that I've ever gotten to play. And it's just been so nice to have someone that's so honest.
You know, I wish I could fix everything that's been done to you.
This is not about me, Don. This is about everyone.
I'd say 90% of the film is set in Teddy's house, which is a house that we constructed completely, built outside Henley-on-Thames in the UK, and it's supposed to be set somewhere in America. It's a timber-framed house. We constructed a basement below the house, and on top of that, we then put a real house and a garden and created a fully immersive experience.
James Price has just created something extraordinary here. I mean, every person who walks onto that set is blown away by it, and the set dressing, props. You can't believe that you're not in a house in the deep south of America.
We put in telegraph poles, power cables, because actually the main thing with America, you notice, is that utilities above ground on telegraph poles, and so that sort of helps set the scene.
A really pivotal piece of any story is seeing where someone lives, what their private life is like. And the first time I walked into that house, it exceeded any image I had in my mind. I mean, I'm not just saying this, I think it's some of the best production design I've ever seen.
Sometimes I pass by this place and I just get this fucking sad, awful feeling like, what's going on in there?
Just don't let them get you too.
I imagined Teddy being sort of trapped in this period of his life when his world was just completely upended, and to see that expressed so well in the art design, all that stuff definitely helps.
One thing that I completely obsessed with is creating natural environments. Because Teddy is a conspiracy theorist, you want people to be unsure whether Teddy is just a nut job or not.
You can go faster. This isn't the spa.
Okay.
So much of the movie happens in the basement, and when you construct a set which is completely 360, you don't have to worry about constructing shots to make the set work or what's outside the windows. You can completely concentrate on making the best version of the film possible.
Should I move back? Yeah. Yeah, I'll just kind of... That basement was so grimy and gross and bleak, and I had to remind myself every day, like, they just built this. We're not in like a 50-year-old decrepit basement. It's brand new. It just looks so... ugh.
All right, stand by, please. Stand by to shoot.
When you do get to find out that she really is an alien and you go to the spaceship, it's totally different again. There's a pond of gloop for a start, which she gets born through, and that in itself was a whole conversation about how we create this gloopy liquid safe that somebody can go in and in enough quantity and colour it.
No, don't open your eye.
It's very feminine. It's very vaginal. It is of the ocean, thinking of squids and octopus and beautiful kind of feminine shapes.
If you're going to make an alien spaceship for Yorgos Lanthimos, it better be something that no one will expect or seen before.
Is that fair? Yeah. Well, not that.
Yorgos and Robbie are so deeply passionate about shooting on film.
VistaVision is a film format. It was made in the 1950s to try and bring in the cinema audience to see a wider aspect. It's called Lazy 8 because it uses more perforations on the film than normal 35mm would use. And the reason for that is because most 35mm cameras would drag the film vertically through the gate. Somebody had a clever idea of flattening it so it went through horizontally.
We shot VistaVision just for short parts on Poor Things. At that point, we couldn't find a very reliable camera so we can shoot more of it. But those images really stayed in our mind. So Robbie kept looking into it. So we finally found a camera where you could actually sync sound with. Because most of the VistaVision cameras that are functional today are like really loud. Like they're very old cameras, really loud.
68 Alpha, take one. And go.
And there's one in the world. Its downside is that it's huge, but quieter than those cameras. So we were able to utilize this one camera to film most of the film.
Haley, can we get a step forward there?
The one I tested with is called a Wilcam 11, and that's the quietest one you could get. We brought the sound team in for that particular test, and it was great to do, really, because everybody was like, it's not too bad.
Best thing.
These are old cameras, they're refurbished, but they get very temperamental. It is a very will there, won't there situation with the VistaVision.
I think it's the perfect format for what film deserves to be seen as, and it has a quality that is something both myself and Yorgos really like anyway.
Thanks, Tony. Feel free to leave early, unless you're busy. Or you have things to do, but feel free if you can.
Throughout this film, I basically wear one costume. And so it was really nailing down this version of a CEO, a power suit and a power coat.
People should, yes, of course, feel free to leave at 5:30 and be with their families. But of course, it's not compulsory. And obviously, if people still have work to do, they should absolutely stay and continue to work.
I felt like it was very important to instantly identify her as somebody very wealthy and very powerful and in control.
Let's go again.
We did early fittings to figure out what Michelle looked like, what Dawn looked like, what Teddy looked like, and we decided to be very minimalist in a way, but also interesting textures and colors reinforced this immediate idea that you have about a person when you see them.
Is it too tight?
No, man. A lot of the stuff from that first fitting ended up being what we went with. And then the hair, he had mentioned that he wanted me to grow my hair out. Now, I can't imagine anything else.
I thought when designing the costumes for the aliens that they should be people of the environment and basically be space hippies. And I thought that they would knit, and handicrafts is a very ancient tradition of humankind, and it's pre-industrial revolution, pre-manufacturing.
Our costume design is something that's very surprising, very organic, very original, very fresh, and sort of the exact opposite of the kind of cold, hard edges that we're used to in big spaceship movies.
Jerskin Fendrix, who's the composer on our film, who's also an incredible collaborator.
Yorgos doesn't let me see the film before I start writing the music for it. And on this occasion, Yorgos insisted that I wasn't allowed to read the script either. I think part of it is just that Yorgos likes messing with me, but also I will get results that I wouldn't have achieved otherwise. He gave me 3 words to work from, which were bees, basement, and spaceship.
Double basses, way more deep, big. I want to hear lots and lots of bass.
There's a sequence that I really like where Michelle tells Teddy that he's mentally ill and he slaps her, and this rolls directly into ridiculously exaggerated fanfare.
You need help? You're mentally ill.
This is something Yorgos always does, where I will give him a big sack of music and he will put it in places which are extremely unexpected, and more often than not, they are used in parts of the script that I would have never predicted. His way of seeing the potential for music in a really unorthodox place is fantastic, and it takes a lot of the onus away from me.
I think it was probably his best work yet, having no idea of what the film was about. He himself, I think, said that he would never have composed this music if he had already read the script, which it works for me.
Seeing all the work that everyone's put in, it feels like a real rare beast, the whole thing.
That's a, category all its own, as most of Yorgos's movies are.